Hello, this is the Bluthner Style 4 baby grand piano, 5 foot long, made in 1933. It's in the polishing room at the moment. We were going to polish this piano. We hadn't got any others that were sort of desperately needed polishing, but you can see some defects here, but actually the case here is pretty integral, so it may not really require polishing. If you want to buy a Bluthner grand that's cheaper, then that'll be one way you could do that. So this one was supplied by Bluthner's in Berkeley Square when they were in Berkeley Square. I would have said in the 1950s. They left Berkeley Square, I think, in about the year 2000. I remember them being there, maybe slightly earlier than that. There's, if you look at the pedals here, you can see that kind of like flamed style there, and that's what the piano will look like if it's repolished. We'll have a look at one that we have repolished that's out just in the showroom floor, and this one would be repolished just because it's the only one that we really need to fully repolish at the moment that's in stock. But I think you might like to buy it as it is, because the casework it's quite acceptable, I think, and is attractive. This is Bluthner's finish at that time, actually, but you'll see the difference that we can make if we strip and repolish the whole piano. It brings out the grain. It's much more contrast in the grain. You can see the grain here, but it's not so much contrast. Bit of damage on the back here. I think the polisher could make that good rather than have to redo the case. So it's something which we can talk about if you're interested. Otherwise this gets repolished and goes up with 70 hours work repolishing the piano, so it goes up considerably. This at the back here can also be made good. I think it would be quite acceptable, really. Going around the whole side of the piano now. The case here again similar, so similar all the way around, just little bits of damage here and there, but generally in good condition. So here's one that we've just finished, and this is, as you can see, 30 coats of French polish finished off by antique waxing, so it's not too shiny and shows the grain off as well as possible. You can see how beautiful the grain is. That's like the pedals on the other one, but the other one will come out exactly like this or similar, my polisher assures me. So this actually doesn't quite look the same colour as if you see it live. It's typical of light doing this. This is a slightly more of a honey coloured than it looks a bit yellower on the video to me. So that's more the true colour of the piano, I think. You can see the front there, and the pedals slightly darker, the legs slightly darker. Legs and pedals tend to be darker on grand pianos. We try and lighten them up to match the piano a bit more than they would originally have been. Looking around the other side, so yes, it's just perfect finish, really. There's one or two defects that you could just about still see, which weren't able to be polished out. But if we look at the top here, again, it's just a beautiful veneer, and we can assure you the other piano will come up very similar to the way this one looks now. So back to the one in the polishing room. As you can see, it looks very attractive like it is. So these sort of defects we can easily mask, and so you wouldn't notice them very much. The key tops are also practically perfect ivory. So as you look across them, none of them, I think that one may have been taken off and been stuck back on, but colouring is excellent. So very good set of ivories. And I've tuned the piano to check the tightness of the pins, and they're as tight as you'd expect to be on a piano that's, I think, been restored in, as I say, 1950s. There's one new string been put on since then, so I've checked the tuning, and it'll be very stable. It won't need tuning any more than a new piano would. Dampers we've changed a lot of the felts because there was some moth in them. Not a huge amount in the dampers, but we decided to change them anyway. And the piano, I think, has been restrung by Bluthner's at that time, so I can't be absolutely sure about when it was done. But looking at the sticker they have on the front, I think it's about that time anyway. Certainly, I started tuning in 1980, and Bluthner's were in Berkeley Square for a long time after that too. There's a serial number you can see underneath the decal there, which has all the dates when they got their prizes. It's a very respected firm. Bluthner's one of the top 4 or 5 in the world, really. However, we've replaced all the felts under the keys and many other felts too. Moth damage is quite common in pianos, and if you've got a piano, it's worth having something to deter them. Lavender, they say, and cedarwood are two of the best deterrents. And of course, we've also made sure this has been treated because we don't want the moth to recur. And if you look in the action here, you can see that we've replaced many of the felts. If you look at the end key, you can see all the felts that have been replaced, including the red felt under the lever there. When Bluthner restored the piano, presumably when they did it, they replaced the action standards here, something you often need to do on Bluthner style 4s, as we mentioned before. They tend to get fissures in them, and then they bow outwards and you can't regulate them properly. And they've also replaced the hammers. These are not the original Bluthner hammers, so they've replaced those before they sold it. There's very little wear on these hammers. If you look at the top of them, you can see that there have been slight wear, and just need voicing a little bit really, and they're excellent for the next 30 years or so. Something we also check always is whether these are worn a bit, whether they're a bit loose, or if they're too tight for that matter. And you can check the looseness by moving them backwards and forwards. None of them are loose, and also none of them are too tight. You can check that by dropping them, and if some of them drop later, then they're too tight. So most of the work's been done on this piano already, just checking through to see what else might need doing. So we have a choice to make. We either make good the case or French polish. If you're interested in having it as it is, please let us know within a week. Our polisher returns from holiday in a week, and we could always put another piano here, so you won't be short of work. It's just this was the next one in line. But as I say, I think it's in good condition really, and doesn't desperately need polishing. The key weighting is slightly high, 57, 55, 52, slightly varied too, 41 up there, so there's quite a lot of variety. So that should be more, well, say down to 44 at least, and then we want about 50, 52, that's not so bad, and 57 we want a little bit less there. So it's not terribly bad and doesn't feel that bad, but we want it within plus or minus 2 grams of those suggested weights. So it's got the typical rich tone of the Bluthner of this age. Let's compare it with some other pianos. This is the other Bluthner Grand, and 1 year difference, 1934. This is Mason & Hamlin Grand Piano, 1926, and it's a longer piano, so it's 5'9" or so it's got a deeper sound. So that's the Bluthner Style 4 grand piano, 5 foot long, made in 1933, and it's a piano that we're always trying to source. In this case, its polish is in good condition, and we were going to repolish it because we know what it can turn out like, but it's really good enough. We haven't even tried to do anything with this, and our polish is very good at disguising marks like that. So I'm sure if you bought it like it is, then you would be very happy. But if you want to pay the extra 70 hours work and have it repolished, then that's obviously something we'd love to do as well. So this is as good as any that we've had, and the two in stock are very similar quality really. Thank you very much for listening. If you're interested in purchasing the piano, please do write to us, info@robertspianos.com. If you'd like to try it out for a while, if you can't come in and see it, then we have a special scheme for that. Please do look on our website or write to us and say what you'd like to do. Thank you very much for listening.